Hey, everybody. It is your favorite DILF here, your dad I listen to frequently, Andy Christopher, with our next rendition of the DILF show. So, big news. If you weren't aware from social media or anything like that, but Julia and I are expecting kiddo number two. And over the moon, ecstatic, couldn't be happier. Just when we have everything figured out, let's blow it right the hell up again. And even just today, we were talking about, well, can we really still get a puppy? Can we still really do this? Should we get a dog? And we're like, dude, in a few months, our lives are going to be flipped upside down again. Why would we get a puppy? So just absolutely ecstatic about little baby girl coming into the world. So Arlo's gonna be a big brother to his little sister, which is just so thrilling. I believe it or not, I actually wanted a girl the first time around, and so Julia did not want to have a girl because she thought about when she was 13, 14, 15, 16. She's like, I can't handle that much of a bitch that I was when our a girl is that age, and it's just going to be you and that little girl against me forever and ever. So now we've got Arlo, and Arlo is thriving in daycare. He's jumping, he's talking so much. Someone sent the funniest the funniest video was posted about when your child has a language leap, and it's like a Busta Rhymes lyric, just that is exactly what Arlo is is sounding like these days. And so now, preparing for little girl, we're a few months away from that, so there's still some time. But now that we have Arlo, it's like, how are we going to split our attention and our love and all these things and just run it back and do it all over again? What I can tell you is that baby number two, just the fear is removed. Some, like, very early on in the pregnancy, Julia even forgot sometimes that she was pregnant. She'd try to order a cocktail, or she'd try to lift something really heavy, or want to do something strenuous, be like, oh yeah, shit, I can't do that. So there is a very, very different mindset going into number two versus number one, because here's the biggest thing is, what's coming. You kind of have a feel for what's coming, even though this is going to be a completely different personality, completely different set of your own personal circumstances and the baby's circumstances and who they are, what they like, all that good stuff. But at least you feel like you have a grip on it, so to speak. And you're not just going to be bamboozled the same time. Now, everything I've heard a lot of parents say, dude, second kid is just as impossible. It just gets twice as hard. And so I'm trying to go into it with a positive mindset, knowing that there's going to be, sleepless nights, knowing that there's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of attention splitting, making sure Arlo feels taken care of while we're taking care of baby girl. No, we don't have a name yet. And even if we do, I'm not going to say it until baby girl is actually here. But we at least feel like we have a handle on what's to come, and that's just such a microcosm of life, isn't it? Just the more you do something and the more you get used to it, the easier that next rep, that next time feels. And now, right now, the pregnancy is the hardest thing, as for Julia. It's been a vastly different experience. Arlo didn't really make her sick. Baby girl is making her very sick, and she's just feeling nauseous, lethargic, not a ton of energy. It's a very, very different vibe with kiddo number two. She's also showing a lot faster than with baby number one. But at least the end of the rainbow, we feel like we can handle it. All right, been there, done that. We got this. So very excited to speak on that. But it got me thinking and going back into my own personal archives of when Arlo was born. And so tentatively, we're going to talk about the first 48, surviving the first 48 hours, kind of what we're looking at and what we're expecting there, because I'm going through some of my old photos. And, when it comes to your kid, don't be afraid about documenting everything. We have this amazing technology in front of us and this amazing capacity for children to really go back and understand everything that went on in their life that made them into the person they are today, from little snippet videos to photos to all these things. And don't be afraid to use that power in your hand as this, we talked a lot about legacy building. This is a potential leave behind that is invaluable, and people are going to want to see down the road, I think. Who knows, what the evolution of the cell phone is going to be. But, I took a bunch of pictures, and I'm looking at Arlo's baby feet on the little certificate, and it's so stinking sweet. I'm going to tear up. But I remembered that I also have these videos that I took. It's about a minute and a half of videos that I took prior to going into the C-section. So we tried to induce, didn't take, and we had to go in for a C-section. And I took these videos when I had the hat on, the mask on, the whole garb, and I hadn't even looked at them until today. And remembering those moments, those frantic, furious, chaotic moments, I'm going to post those in here. I'm going to find a good stop point, and as well as a few things as to kind of what, it looked like, maybe a little photo montage, maybe there's a couple other videos where I finally go out into the, outside of the hospital after about 50 plus hours of, being in the hospital. And at that point, Julia had been in the hospital for almost 3 straight weeks because of her preeclampsia. And it's so weird to have this time warp and go back and look at it. So you know what? Let's go ahead. I'm going to pepper that in right here, right now. And you're going to see what it looked like pre-delivery room, maybe a few cute photos of baby Arlito. And then you'll also see what it was like coming out of it really quick. So we're going in for a C-section. We're just, here and getting things situated. A little bit scary. The whole world's about to change right now, and it's coming up in less than 30 minutes. Little baby boy will be here. So, oh man, it's such an overwhelming feeling. So much excitement, so much terror. It's just a lot of everything right now. So you'll see us real soon. Yeah, so we tried what's called inducing Julia, which didn't work because she started having contractions, but then the baby's heart rate was dropping. So basically we had to stop that and transfer to a C-section. A C-section is basically a procedure where they cut the bottom of her belly, they cut the uterus, and they just pull a little kiddo right out. So we'll send updates, but yeah, that's kind of what got us to this point right now. I just realized that Julia's actually in there already. Oh my gosh. So, outside for the first time in about 50 hours or so, you kind of forget that the world goes on. Everything stops and slows down, and it's just you and your little family. So, man, yeah, we're grabbing a car seat. I didn't realize you had to do like a car seat stress test for your baby. But that's what I'm grabbing to do. And Julia and Arlo are healthy and happy and fed, and we're just kind of living the dream. It's scary, but man, we love this stinking kid. He's going to be so cool. Yeah, that's really all I got. Another nice day. Bye. I've also learned more about baby care and taking care of another life form in the last 48 hours than absolutely than in 34 plus years of living here. Trial by fire, you just kind of start doing things, start messing things up, you figure it out. It's not easy, it's scary. They're really freaking strong, but you find a way, make it happen for the kiddo. Big moment here. After 3 weeks of having these frickin' bands on, Julia has one thing to tell the world.
I'm free.
She's free. Because of that little man. Yee. This has just been an incredible walk down memory lane for me. And the first we're so stupid. What a weird age we live in. The first things we did were try to create a meme of who Arlo looks like. And the first and most prominent one was Wallace Shawn Vicini from The Princess Bride. And so maybe I'll post that meme up right here somewhere so you all can see it on the YouTube version of this. But man, Arlo was underweight. I can't even believe that this was my child. At certain points, he couldn't hold his head up. He was just such a little warrior and trooper from the beginning. Um, but those first 48 hours are mayhem. And leading up into it's all about creature comforts. It's all about how can we make Mama Bear feel as comfortable as possible. I'm looking at these photos. We've got crumble cookies like nobody's business, just all these little happy treats. And like I said, since she was in the hospital for so long, it made it difficult. But pamper, take care of Mama Bear at that point, because her body's gonna go through such an immense stress and such an overwhelming flush and flurry of emotions and hormones and madness and body aches and pains. And God forbid you have to go through like other things that happen down in the vagina area. I mean, there's just so much pain and madness involved in this whole process. So leading into it, dads, do what you got to do to make sure that she's happy, she's healthy, she's taken care of. We also had a lot of Popeye's chicken sandwiches. That was another good soul food right there. But the first 48 hours, depending upon if you're fortunate enough to, bypass any further care like the NICU or something like that, we didn't know if Arlo was going to have to go into, I believe it's the neonatal intensive care unit or natal intensive care unit. Yeah. And we didn't know if that was going to be the case. So, be aware that if your child's coming a little bit early, Arlo came 5 weeks early, be aware that that's a possibility, that child's going to be born and you might not get to be with him or her and interact with him or her right away. It might just be born and then taken into another room for further care. There might be some type of tests that need to be run, some type of things that you need to get past in order to make sure that everything's stable and okay inside your kiddo. So preparing yourselves for those scenarios, if baby's coming early, is important, just to know that things can go a different route than just the storybook, what you anticipate. I remember Arlo being on the incubator, and then all of a sudden Julia's vitals start to tank. We spoke about that in a previous episode, and all of a sudden she's sick, and now he is on the cusp of, is he okay? Is he not okay? NICU, yes or no? And then now Julia is in jeopardy, and I'm splitting my attention. And to be perfectly honest, you go to the kid. Like, you make sure that your child is protected and safe and taken care of. Julia even tried to give me like go do what you got to do, because there were doctors attending to her. They were sewing up her belly from the incision, and they were taking care of her, but she wanted to make sure, and pure instincts at that point, is our child okay? And that is something that I certainly wasn't prepared for. I didn't know that the baby was going to be blue coming out and need to get oxygenated. I didn't know a lot of things. And so just preparing for, there's a lot of people in the room. There's a lot of action going on. And all of a sudden, baby's here. You feel this crystallizing moment, which is wonderful. But then it's the rest of your life is off to the races. And we, fortunately, Julia ended up getting stabilized, and I mentioned that she was on that magnesium drip and a little bit loopy for the first 24 hours. But then the constant rush of people coming in and just intruding on your space, it feels like such a violation. Just leave us alone. We get it. We just, isn't there a sensor that can solve all these problems from afar? Like, just let us be, let us sleep, let us do our thing. And, you want to get out and spread the word. You want to tell all your family that everything's fine, but you're just worried about your child and your significant other. You just want to make sure everything's dialed in. Nothing else really matters. You're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about people that you might need to be contacting, your job, even your own personal health. I remember just going through, I didn't eat for so many, it might have been 24 straight hours. I mean, I honestly can't remember with any clarity because it was such a whirlwind. And I remember when we hit our metrics, we got Arlo, we got his blood sugar to be above the level that it needed to be at. And then some of the dust started to settle, and I'm looking at some of these photos of this sweet, innocent, just little nugget of a human. And the photos of him not being able to hold his head up are still hilarious. Oh, we got one where he looks like Carlos. After a couple of days we came home, he looks like Carlos from The Hangover with the little glasses on. But going back to the first 48, it's once you get that chance to breathe a little bit, you really kind of settle into, okay, how do I change diapers? How do I do this? How do we feed? How do we nurse? What needs do I attend to in the mother? How do I keep the baby warm? I'll probably do a separate episode on just swaddling your baby, because I've got a great swaddling story for when Arlo wouldn't sleep or be swaddled. But we kind of practice swaddling beforehand, but once it's in the mix of it, you kind of lose your mind a little bit about how it's done. So what I was doing was I was paying attention to the nurses. I was paying attention to how the nurses were handling the child, how they were wrapping him up in blankets, how they were holding his neck and head, and where they were grabbing from initially to pick him up. Because he had to run in and out of the room a bunch of times. And it was, there were a lot of hands on deck. And so I'm just trying to pick out and tease out, okay, this is good information right here. This is nice. This is nice. I can use this. I should be doing something like that. Also watching to see if they were, fluffing Julia's pillow, or what actions she could take in terms of comfort. Because sometimes when you try to make things better, you just end up making things worse. So I was really trying to respect the fact that she was just thoroughly exhausted and, in this kind of zombie mode. And I didn't want to just, are you okay? Are you okay? Or, what can I do? What can I do? Don't ask a ton of questions. Just do stuff that's going to ideally help the situation. And, then we kind of just, we had these moments where we looked at each other and we're just like, oh shit, we got here, we did this. And then it was just us plus. And I think that was the most wonderful realization, is like, we're still here, we're still us. There's a video where we're messing with this like breath inhaler thing. And, that's after he's been born. We're just taking photos of him, and we finally got moved up to the birthing suite. We finally got a decent meal in us. And then we started making memes, and then we're taking photos with the doctor, the OB who delivered him. And it's just us. Then we're home. One of the weirdest things, this in the video, I talk about this baby seat stress test, something you never think about. So bring your car seat into the hospital and leave it in the corner of the room, because what they do is they stress test the, all the not cords, but the buckles and the belts and the restraints. And they make sure, or at least they're supposed to make sure, that it's dialed in and tuned in for how big your baby is, so that you can go put the baby in the car. And then, once it's all buckled in, and maybe that fastener, with the fastener system, once it's all in the car, you're good to go. Well, Dad, make sure that you bring that car seat into the car, because I had to run back out. I had no idea that this was a thing. And I'm very grateful that they did, because I probably had it at 2 years old in terms of how big the strap should have been. But with our particular one, it felt like they were, after we had our good meal, like they're just, dude, we got a lot of people here. We need to, this game's all about turnover. We need to get you guys the hell out of here. And so we ended up putting him into the car seat under very kind of sketchy circumstances. And when you're walking out of the hospital with mom, with baby, it's kind of the first time for everything. You're looking for that. This is all you're going to do. You're not going to help me anymore. And you have to remember, these doctors, these nurses, these people assisting you, they have a job to do. Your world has changed forever, but their world is just the same. They need to go in and deal with the 50 other patients that are waiting for their care. So with this particular attending orderly nurse, whoever she was, she was probably just on the move to the next thing, but we felt so ill-equipped. And Julia was like holding Arlo's head up, like back in the car seat, because he couldn't hold his own head up. He was just this little thing, and he had no neck strength, no nothing. We didn't know if the straps were on. We were worried that he wasn't breathing, and so she sat back there with him, held his head up, and obviously, we did make it home. We made it through all the controversy there. But stress test of the car seat, something I definitely wasn't expecting. Don't expect to sleep at all. And if you sneak in an hour or a few minutes here and there, just be grateful. You're not worried about anything else. And depending upon how long you and your family are in there, I was back and forth for whatever it was, 17 days. So I got to go home, and then I'd come back, and I had to go home and take care of the dog and this and that. But if mama tells you it's okay, hey, go catch a couple hours or go do this, just trust the process. Okay. She knows her body. She knows what's going on. So believe in it, but don't expect any sleep to be had, because you're just going to be worrying about one thing or the other. And don't expect really great food. You get your 3 squares a day, but maybe consider the Uber One Pass and get Uber Eats to start bringing you stuff, because it's hospital food. It is what it is. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be gourmet. It's just going to be sustenance. And I remember at our hospital, there was gravy on every other meal. It was the weirdest thing ever. Just, oh, hey, here's chicken piccata with some green beans and gravy. It's like, all right, well, I get it. Oh, well, here's here's a lasagna casserole dish with some side of fruit and gravy on it. Where are they getting all this gravy from? Why is gravy on everything? Oh, French fries with gravy. What the? Right. Stop putting gravy on everything. I don't get it. So meals aren't going to be great. Don't hinge on that. And just be prepared with the essentials. Don't overdo and overblow what you need to bring to the hospital, because they've got everything there. So yes, your own clothes, your own books, your iPad, whatever you need to do to get you through, but diapers, bottles, formula, this, that, the other, blankets, they pretty much got you covered. And you want to keep all that stuff at your house, just so you're not scrambling to get back to the car. You're not scrambling to carry all these things when all you care about is this new little being in your life. You don't want to be carrying all this shit out. And we had a couple bags. It wasn't that bad altogether, but just know you don't need to bring a ton of stuff, just the essentials. And just know, like I said, they have everything there that you could possibly need and then some. So don't sweat it. If there is a little special, blankie or thing that you want them to have there to commemorate their being born and that's part of what you're doing, then go for it. We didn't do anything like bronzing the umbilical cord or anything like that. But if that's your cup of tea, then just be prepared and read the directions before the baby's here, because you're not going to give a shit if you don't already know how to do it. You're not going to take the time to learn how to do it. But other than that, we're just introducing this little thing to the world, and it from those videos you can see just how, I mean, I'm just flushed and just so overwhelmed, not really knowing how to get through it. And then outside of the hospital, it's like, okay, like we're back. We made it. We can do this. We're learning on the fly. We're doing this. We're doing that. But the biggest thing to be prepared for is that you think you know love until you see this little child born. I'm literally just looking at his little face, and those moments are the ones that, I honestly I'm so grateful that I was able to just somehow coherently grab a couple pictures here and there, because this is something that, I'll never forget mentally, but it's always so wonderful to revisit the exact detail. And then, seeing us, these new parents, and, just a few minutes after he was born, he's got his little eye open. We're looking at the camera like, what the fuck just happened? What are we doing? We are not prepared for this. Looking at Arlo sleeping next to Mama Bear. It's just such a wonderful experience. So for all the sleeplessness, for all the cruddy food, for all the chaos and the mayhem, this moment of clarity that comes into effect is something like you'll never experience again. I mean, I don't know just yet how it's going to be with baby number 2, but with baby number 1, it is something else. And if you've had second, third, fourth children, please share your thoughts with me. How was it? How did your love split and grow from that moment on? What were the differences between your pregnancies? What were the differences between the time in the hospital from 1 to 2? Oh my God, the funniest thing. So I'll leave you with this little story. My mom had my sister Laura, and it was a normal / rough go in terms of a child being born. And then when I was coming, I apparently my mom knew, hey, this guy's coming into the world and we got to get to the hospital. So she's at the house. They get to the hospital, and apparently the entire process was under 2 hours from home to baby to on the move again. And my mom encountered this woman when she came in who had apparently had a very long go of it and was struggling to get her baby out of her body. And my mom just literally swooped in, swooped out. And then she passes this woman again when going back to her room, and this woman is still struggling in labor, just in it so hard. And my mom is the sweetest person, and this woman, without knowing her, without sharing any other words with her, just looks her dead in the eye, just looks at me there, looks at her, says, "You fucking bitch." I'm sure Julia can empathize with that in terms of what that would mean. We have some other friends who've had some very, very lengthy, difficult births. But just that moment of unfiltered, unadulterated anger at like, are you kidding me? You just got here. This is not fair. Yeah, we heard some crazy sounds when we were in the what is it, like the pregnant lady area? I can't think of it right now off the top of my head. crazy sounds going on, sounded like babies being born on the way to the delivery room, and just some insane noises. So be ready for those as well. Maybe get some headphones for yourself if you have trouble sleeping or what it might be. But yeah, the first 48 is a whirlwind, a wonderful whirlwind, and you will eventually, get past it, see the light, and then you're just off to the race of life and figuring out how to keep this thing alive, like we've spoken about previously. So that's pretty much what I got for you today. It's not very elegant. It's just very real stuff, and I'm happy that you all got to see that glimpse into myself, and literally as it's happening. There's one video, the one video where it's like, oh man, she's in the room right there. It's just such a beautiful disaster, to quote 311 right there. So thank you so much for listening. Make sure to like, share, leave your reviews, because it keeps the steam going in the right direction. Tell me what's working for you. Tell me what's not working for you. thedilfshow@gmail.com is where you can send your thoughts, questions, queries, funny stories, anecdotes, anything like that. And obviously on all my socials at thedilfshow. thedilfshow.com is up and running, so feel free to go there. It's very fundamental, but if you're having trouble finding your favorite podcast portal, you can always use that as a crutch. So until next week, I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You go have a great one.